Live from WFSB, Connecticut's #1 local news. This is Channel 3 Eyewitness News at 6. First at 6, the investigation intensifies in a deadly plane crash in East Hartford.
That he was in shock. He really didn't have much to say.
The sole survivor badly burned, telling investigators the crash that killed the student pilot was not an accident.
No situation is being ruled out. Information indicates that this plane crash was intentional.
Well, just steps away from this plane crash is the campus of Pratt & Whitney, what officials with the aerospace manufacturer are saying tonight.
Questions tonight about whether Pratt was a possible target and if this was a potential act of terror.
Well, terrorism is a criminal act, and there's a lot of criminal investigators on scene.
It was intentional, but what was the motive? That is the big question tonight.
For more than 24 hours, investigators have scoured the scene where that small twin-engine plane crashed right near Pratt & Whitney's headquarters in East Hartford. Now, tonight, the Associated Press cites sources saying this may be a suicide, but investigators tell us everything is on the table, and they have not yet drawn any conclusions.
We have live team coverage right now for you, beginning with Channel 3 Eyewitness News reporter Matthew Campbell, live at the scene where police are now taking the wreckage of the plane away. Matthew.
Well, Dennis, they're going to be taking whatever remains here out of here to Delaware, and that's where the investigation will continue. The wreckage strewn across East Hartford's Main Street all could have been avoided. Investigators confirm when this twin-engine Piper plane came down, it was intentional. 2 men were inside, the owner and instructor of American Flight Academy, Arian Pravala, and the student pilot, Faris Feritek, who is now presumed dead. The AP is reporting the motive was suicide, but officials aren't ready to take that step. All avenues, including terrorism, are still being investigated.
That information is indicating it was an intentional crash. But the circumstances beyond it being intentional, or why it was intentional, or how it was intentional, are all being investigated at this time.
CBS is reporting Feritek came to America in 2012 on a visa as a student to complete a flight school course. Eyewitness News spoke with a flight instructor who says even though this plane had 2 controls, it would be incredibly hard to stop someone who is on a mission of crashing. When the plane crashed, president of American Eagle Credit Union says the lone survivor, Pravala, was traumatized and walked in for help.
He just sort of pointed out the window, said, just said that there's a crash, and that was it. Again, he was in shock. He was pretty much burned, bloody on his torso.
Pravala is expected to live. He's at Bridgeport Hospital's burn unit, and with the plane coming down on Main Street, feet away from that credit union and Pratt & Whitney, officials say it was nothing short of a miracle that more lives weren't lost.
It's a very active area. Sidewalks were full, businesses were full, and a heavy amount of traffic. The fact that there weren't more casualties as a result of this incident is pretty amazing, quite frankly.
Now a live look as the cleanup here goes on. Earlier today, we saw a tarp being pulled over this wreckage. We presume that's when Feritek's body was being removed. Now Main Street here in East Hartford, that is expected to reopen later tonight. That is the latest. Live here in East Hartford, Matthew Campbell, Channel 3 Eyewitness News.
Matthew, thank you. The crash investigation is now spanning both sides of the Connecticut River. Investigators and federal agents swarmed an apartment in the south end of Hartford where the student pilot is said to have lived. That apartment is located on Anawan Street, 4 miles from the scene of the crash. Channel 3's Courtney Zeller spent the day there learning more about this student pilot. Courtney.
Well, good evening to you, Dennis. Yeah, this was a very active scene just a few hours ago with federal and local authorities involved. Now, we talked to a handful of people who knew the student pilot, many hearing about his death on social media, and they tell us all he wanted to do was fly. While Hartford police and FBI agents swarmed the Ritz Grande apartments on Anawan Street in Hartford, people wanted to know why.
I heard it from last night when I saw the cop here. It was kind of rare. The cops are never here unless there's an emergency.
The student pilot who died in the crash, sources say, is this man, Faris Feritek. They confirm this is a picture of him. Friends tell us Feritek lives here with at least 3 others, possibly all aviation students. Residents noticed they all wore the same jackets.
They was trying to be pilots and stuff, They never had anything like bad. They were always good, quiet. It was never a problem. They always laughed. They had fun. They were a few friends.
We've learned Ferry Tech is from Jordan and came to the United States in 2012. According to the Federal Aviation Administration, he was here on a visa so he could go to flight school. He attended language school in Ohio. He was issued a private pilot certificate in May of 2015, but friends say he was trying to learn more and eventually wanted to get his aerobatics license. Friends we talked to on social media can't believe he's gone and describe Ferry Tech as a nice and gentle person. They also say he's a very good guy. Earlier today, our cameras caught FBI agents in this unmarked white van going in and out of one apartment. Hartford police were also involved in the investigation, including SWAT members and detectives. And as you can see behind me here, the scene has cleared from Anawan Street. Now, we couldn't see if FBI agents took anything from that apartment. Now, if you do live in this area, police want to stress that everything is safe and secure. We're live at the mobile newsroom tonight from Hartford. Courtney Zeller, Channel 3 Eyewitness News.
All right, thank you, Courtney. While investigators work to learn more about the motive behind this crash, we're now learning more about the flight instructor who survived. Channel 3 New Haven Bureau Chief Matt McFarland is live with the mobile newsroom at Meriden Markham Airport with that part of the story. Matt?
Well, Arian Pravella used to run Meriden's airport. He also had a flight school here. Now he operates two locations, one in Hartford, one in East Haven. And those who know him say he's a good pilot with plenty of experience.
Long-time pilot, yeah. Yeah, good pilot, too.
That's how pilot David Pepe, a former airport commission chair, remembers Arian Pravella from his time at Meriden Markham Airport. Pravella used to run the flight school here, also serving as airport manager.
Took care of maintenance, snow plowing, gas sales, rentals, and, of course, the flight school.
But the city eventually broke its contract with Pravella and took over the airport. Commission meeting minutes show there were issues with agreed-upon renovations, snow removal, and runway lights. Pravella was in the twin-engine Piper PA-34 Seneca, along with a flight student, when it crashed on East Hartford's Main Street Tuesday afternoon. He managed to escape the burning aircraft and get help. Pravella is now at the Connecticut Burn Center at Bridgeport Hospital with serious burns. We're told he's in critical condition and is expected to survive, and that he's been talking with investigators. An online bio says Pravella is originally from Albania and that he began his aviation career back in 1994 as an air marshal. A licensed pilot, he started the Connecticut Flight Academy in 2006 with one plane and one flight instructor, and continued to grow.
He had a lot of students, flight instructors, fleet of aircraft, and he shared them between Brainerd and Meriden.
Then in 2014, he started the American Flight Academy out of East Haven, and just this July, his Hartford-based flight school adopted that same name.
He had a lot of time in twin aircraft, and I was very surprised to hear that, and made me wonder what exactly had gone on.
And that's the question many are hoping investigators will get to the bottom to, just what happened inside that cockpit. We're live with the mobile newsroom in Meriden. Matt McFarland, Channel 3 Eyewitness News.
All right, thank you, Matt. Now, here is the breakdown of what we know tonight. The NTSB says this crash appears to be intentional, but at this point, there is no clear motive. A student pilot from Jordan is dead. Faraz Ferry Tech came to the U.S. in 2012 on a student visa. The FBI and local police searched his apartment today. No word on what they found there. The flight instructor, Arian Pravella, walked away from the crash with serious burns. Eyewitness News has learned he is the owner of the aviation school. And we ask you to keep it here for continuing coverage of the East Hartford plane crash. Still to come at 6, more about why the FBI is so heavily involved in this investigation. Channel 3's Aaron Connolly breaks down the initial concerns about terrorism because this crash happened so close to Pratt & Whitney.
And we invite you to download the Channel 3 app for alerts as soon as any big developments happen. You can also find expanded coverage on that app, including a slideshow of photographs and links to today's news conferences.
With a mix of sun and clouds today, temperatures topped out in the mid-60s, and here lying within the 6 o'clock hour on our network of neighborhood weather stations, slowly dropping from the 60s into the 50s from Ansonia to Newington, and already into the upper 50s from Harwington to Jewett City. Of course, we've got a clear scan on our all-new early warning pinpoint Doppler, but that will not be the case tomorrow as we're tracking a cold front. Before it gets here, a little fog, and as well a chance for some showers as it moves through. We'll time them out for you coming up in the 7-day forecast, and also detail a drop in temperature on the other side of that front coming up with weather every 10 minutes when Eyewitness News at 6 continues.
We continue our coverage now of the plane crash in East Hartford as the NTSB confirms that this plane crash was no accident. Officials are warning everyone not to jump to any conclusions. But some are wondering if the aerospace manufacturer Pratt & Whitney, which was just a few feet away from the crash, could have been the intended target.
Channel 3's Aaron Connolly is live at the scene now with the newest information and what officials are saying about this tonight. Aaron.
Denise and Dennis, with Brainerd Airport being so close to here, it's not unusual to see planes flying overhead, but what happened yesterday took everyone by surprise, especially the news that this crash was intentional. As investigators piece through the wreckage of this twin-engine plane, part of Main Street remains closed. But at Pratt & Whitney, which is just a few feet away, nothing appears to be out of the ordinary.
I've been told that Pratt & Whitney operations are business as usual. There's always security there.
But law enforcement officials confirm one of the reasons the FBI is here investigating is directly related to Pratt & Whitney, which provides military engines to 31 armed forces around the world.
Well, we're located right next door to Pratt & Whitney, which is obviously involved in the aerospace industry and things of that nature. There are some other areas, circumstances in the area that we want to get everyone involved right from the get-go.
With Brainerd and Bradley airports so close by, there is not a no-fly zone over the East Hartford campus. Addressing the plane crash in a statement to Eyewitness News today, officials say Pratt & Whitney is open and there is no impact to our operation here. The safety of our employees is our top priority, and we are following our security protocols.
I think in the coming days we'll have a better idea, if not even sooner, at what may have transpired, and we'll act accordingly.
Now, I did speak to some employees over at Pratt & Whitney today. They tell me they didn't really notice anything different in terms of security, but say, unfortunately, they were not surprised that they could be viewed as a potential target. Live at the mobile newsroom in East Hartford tonight, Aaron Connolly, Channel 3, Eyewitness News.
Right, our ICANN view from Windsor Locks looking at Bradley International. Quite nice. The clouds from earlier melting away with the loss of the daytime heating. We'll have the latest on some fog and a chance for rain as we head through the next 24 hours. Then a big drop in temperature and Hurricane Nicole. A lot to cover ahead in the early warning forecast when Eyewitness News at 6 continues.
Channel 3 early warning weather with meteorologist Mark Dixon.
All right, lots of great pictures coming in via social media and to our inbox, weather3 at WFSB.com, highlighting all the great show of colors, the fall foliage here within our borders. This picture coming in from Andover. Paul sending this in, showing the reflection of those colors there on the surface of the lake or the pond, and a nice scene also coming in from Christine, showing the Vernon Valley Falls Park. So great weather today for that, and this weekend looks pretty nice for leaf peeping. If you're planning to take it out and about here within our borders or throughout New England, we'll have more on that in just a moment. Temperatures here in the 6 o'clock hour slowly dropping from the 60s into the 50s. 59 now in Torrington, 57 Waterbury, 58 Danbury, 61 in Hartford, 63 Willimantic, and 61 for Groton. So our ICANN view from Waterbury showing some of the cloud cover there lingering, and some parts of the state were entirely clear. So we will see a clear to partly cloudy sky as we head through the overnight hours. The southerly flows can help keep temperatures up tonight compared to the last several nights. So instead of 20s or 30s or even lower 40s, some towns tomorrow morning will wake up to temperatures in the 50s. And as we look at the big picture, that southerly flow is complements of high pressure moving offshore, giving us that southerly wind with the clockwise flow around the high. And then we've got a cold front off to our west. Got a decent amount of rain associated with it now, but most of this energy passes to our north as we head into tomorrow afternoon and evening. So I think at best we'll see some isolated to scattered showers, and of course rain is something we could use. We're not going to see a whole lot of it, and behind this front a pretty dramatic drop in temperature. Tomorrow we could reach 70. Behind that front, notice as of the current time we've got 75 in Columbus, Ohio, 53 in Chicago, then 45 in Minneapolis. So a 30-degree temperature spread from advance of the front to behind it. So on Futurecast, tomorrow's weather today, with that southerly flow tonight, we'll see areas of fog develop, perhaps even a little patchy drizzle to start your Thursday. And then tomorrow around lunchtime, the 12 o'clock hour, likely a mix of sun and clouds. We'll be warming up again well into the 60s, sometimes inland reaching 70. And then notice how those showers really fall apart as they work in our direction. So some towns may see some rain tomorrow, others may not by this time for the evening commute. With regard to Nicole, as we head out into the tropics, there is Bermuda. It's heading in the general direction of Bermuda. Could strengthen to a Category 3 storm as we head through the next 12 to 24 hours. Then it works into the northern Atlantic. So the only landmass right now in its direct path is Bermuda. So that particular island certainly taking precautions on this current forecast track. Back here in Connecticut, 45 to 50 inland. That's what you'll wake up to tomorrow morning. Lower to mid-50s along the Connecticut shoreline. Then highs for tomorrow, 65 to 70 away from the Sound and along the 95 corridor. Temperatures in the mid to upper 60s. On our early warning 7-day forecast, behind that front, breezy. Sunny on Friday with temperatures only reaching the lower to mid-60s. A little bit cooler on Saturday after starting the day in the upper 30s. Another chilly start Sunday morning. We'll see increasing cloud cover late in the day on Sunday. Temperatures, though, about 5 degrees warmer than Saturday. And on Monday, a chance for a few showers as another front moves through, and then into the upper 60s and low 70s inland and along the shoreline Tuesday to Wednesday of next week.
All right, thank you, Mark. We have breaking news just into the newsroom. Verizon has announced it is closing its customer service call centers in Wallingford and Meriden. This will take effect in March of 2017 and affect more than 500 jobs. 490 employees work at the Wallingford facility. Another 60 are in Meriden. The company says employees will be offered opportunities to relocate to other customer service centers in other states. Now, in a statement, a Verizon spokesperson said this was a very difficult but necessary business decision. We value our customer service employees. They are highly trained, highly skilled, and experienced, and they will be encouraged to stay with the company.
Also new tonight, work has resumed at Dunkin' Donuts Park. Crews were spotted at the stadium laying fresh soil today. Arch Insurance hired Whiting Turner out of Baltimore to finish the job. After initial excitement about Hartford getting a baseball team, the ballpark has since been a struggle from the start. Construction issues and cost overruns caused one delay after another, and the 2016 season never happened. The cost of the stadium is now $20 million more than first projected. The Yard Goats' first game is scheduled to be played April 13th, 2017. Taking it town by town now in Wallingford, a new mammoth-sized track-laying machine was unveiled. This is the first of its kind in Connecticut, and it can assemble railroad track that is, at a significantly higher rate than had been traditionally done in the past. The track is part of the Hartford line, scheduled to open January of 2018.
In Norwich, Mohegan Park is getting a huge expansion. More than 84 acres owned by the city will be merged with the existing park land. The move doesn't cost the city any money because it owns all of the parcels, and there are no plans to improve this land by installing trails or benches. The land instead will keep as is open space and as a buffer zone.
This is a nightmare. All I could think about, was that stuff in her bottle.
Two mothers make disgusting discoveries while feeding their newborns. What they found, and there's a peek, and a warning for other parents tonight on Eyewitness News at 11.
All right, a final check of the early warning 7-day forecast. Tomorrow morning, little fogs, patchy drizzle, then a mix of sun and clouds. Mild temperatures in the upper 60s near 70, then a chance for some late day showers with a cold front, knocking temperatures down for the end of the week and the weekend. Highs on Saturday in the low 60s. Morning lows both Saturday and Sunday in the upper 30s. A little bit milder Sunday afternoon. Highs in the mid 60s. Another shower chance as we kick off next week on Monday.
Now, Joe Zone with Eyewitness Sports.
If you've been around as long as I have and seen what the media gets away with today, I'm telling you the whole thing has just fallen apart. Now, the big story today is that Tom Brady at today's media avail didn't back away from Donald Trump's version of stuff that's said in a locker room. One headline reads, Brady won't denounce Trump's locker room talk. Another says, Brady bolts from press conference. The headlines are unbelievably salacious and completely inaccurate. Now, here's the press conference with the question and Brady's reaction.
Tom, you have kids of your own. How would you respond if your kids heard Donald Trump's version of locker room talk?
Thank you, guys. Have a good day.
Is Brady bolting away? He smiles, says, "Thank you, guys," and walks off. And he didn't denounce Trump's locker room talk because he wasn't asked about it. Remember the question, Tom, you have kids of your own. How would you respond if your kids heard Trump's version of locker room talk? The reporter asked Brady about his kids. That's what we in the business call a softball way to ask the hardball question you didn't have the guts to ask. Now, if I were going to ask the question, I would have said, Tom, is Donald Trump's version of locker room talk accurate? Or, Tom, have you ever heard Trump's locker room talk in any locker room you've been in? That's how you ask the question. The answer that you want would be there. You don't involve his kids. Brady's reaction was predictable, and so was the Nationals' media's. By the way, it's important to note that last year, Brady was seen with one of Trump's Make America Great Again hats in his locker. All right, moving on. UConn's defense did a really good job against Cincinnati last week, but they'll be up against it this week against South Florida. In the Bulls' 5 wins, they're averaging almost 40 points a game. I asked UConn coach Bob Diaco if he points those numbers out to his defense.
You know, in most instances, whenever I've either done that or been on a staff that's done that, it seems to turn into a self-fulfilling prophecy.
UConn in South Florida, Saturday night, 7 o'clock on the CBS Sports Network. Hey, we have got a real battle going on right now for our game of the week. Morgan at Cromwell Portland has 46% of the vote. And then you look at the Abbott Tech Immaculate at Capital Prep Achievement, that's getting 46% of the vote. Now, I will be live Friday night from the game that gets the most votes. Poll is open until tomorrow night at 6. And a program alert for this Sunday. Channel 3 will be televising the Patriots-Bengals game at 1. The Giants-Ravens game, also at 1, will not be televised. That's your heads up. And that's sports. Guys, you got it.
Good enough. All right, Joe, thank you very much.
And that'll do it for Channel 3 Eyewitness News at 6. We thank you for sharing your time with us tonight.
The CBS Evening News is coming up next with Scott Pelley, and Willie will see you back here for Eyewitness News at 11. Good night, everybody.